Scott, you've got your 6 or 7 cents on the table,
I've
but
got a 7 cents and a shirt button on the
can
table.
I say one
By
thing?
all means, everybody does this. Go ahead, get your nickel in. Go
This
on.
is my fault.
I just
I started
just want
this.
to say that Chris, God damn it, I asked you. I said, so about this, I've heard it's kind of gory. Should Sheila and I watch it together? What'd you say? Like, oh, it's
I thought
fine.
it was going to be. I forgot. There's that one cleaving scene that
You forgot.
I forgot about the cleaving scene.
Okay. Now you're taking my 7 cents now.
Go.
It was nicely done, though.
Anyway, this film was interesting in that it was obviously made on the cheap. It's all shot in Agora, at the old Paramount Ranch, which burned down a couple of years after they finished this thing, the entire thing, which is terrible. But
except for the cave, which is the same cave set from Iron Man.
yeah, right. Well, that's
Oh.
yeah. But this one I thought had a kind of an initial charge to it, but the middle was remarkably dull. I thought once the quest started, the film just unwound after a while because I just after it's just they it's almost done like one foot follows the other. It's kind of boring. The end though was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. That particular scene we're talking about, the cleaving scene, we'll call it, was maybe the grossest thing I have ever seen in a movie ever. It gave me nightmares and I thought about it for days. So man, that one scene almost made me write this whole film off because it was so excessive.
Are you going to sit there and tell me that's grosser than anything that happens in the first 25 minutes of Come and See? Are you really going to sit there and say that?
Okay, well that's the thing about this. It's like Come and See was telling us something about something that really happened, and this is all crazy made up shit.
Right, which makes it less scary to me.
Well, I thought it made it more gratuitous because it's literally is.
Oh, it's more gratuitous,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's interesting. You're drawing an interesting parallel here between showing something because you're right. Come and See and maybe Fury are just there's some really gross stuff in both those films, right? But it's about World War II and it's about something that really happened, and these guys are trying to depict it. This is something else. This is
S. Craig Zahler jerking off. Like it's not. It's like
I'm not gonna be dismissive, but
no, I'm being fucking dismissive. This movie is dismissible. Like this movie is bad and racist, and if you removed the racism, it would still be bad.
Yeah.
Like this movie is unenjoyable. It was unenjoyable the first time I watched it. It's unenjoyable this time. It's bad at literally everything it tries to do. The comedy is bad. The action is bad. The horror is atrocious. I don't know how the fuck you were scared by any of this because literally the entire time I was watching it, I was making the jerk off motion. Like nothing about this movie was interesting the first time I watched it, and it got less interesting the second time. Let me fucking hate this movie.
Okay, we got that. All right. Now I'm making a distinction here about I wasn't scared of that particular scene. It was more of like a moral horror thing. It was just one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in a film ever, and that's like
you've never dressed a deer, have you?
I've seen plenty of fucking guts fall out of stuff before. Like it's not.
Yeah,
I want it to be anything other than this. I want it to be better at any of the things it tries to do, and it just isn't.
Well,
it's a waste of David Arquette. It's a waste of Matthew Fox. It's a waste of Patrick Wilson. It's absolutely a waste of Kurt Russell. Like, man, it's just tragic.
The medium informs the film. This film was shot 21 days at the Paramount Ranch, a comfortable ride from the valley. You don't even have to go to Thousand Oaks. It's just you turn off on your way to Malibu and there you're there, right?
And Kurt Russell was trying to grow his beard and his
so these guys were all able to sleep in their own beds every night when they're making the film. There's no hardship at all here. It's really easy. In fact, you probably turn the camera on any scene, you probably see a parking lot. And so that kind of bleak, burned up Hollywood, the LA San Gabriel Mountains look. It's like, oh, here we are. I know this place. You look out the window, you're trying to drive into Los Angeles, all you see is scrub everywhere. I'm going to go back to what Jared said, though, about Matthew Fox. I thought, for what it's worth, he really put a lot into this. I think he did a good job. I think he really, because you see him on
Everyone's
television,
trying real hard in this
Yeah.
movie.
because he's kind of he has limitations as a television actor. That I think that he really kind of really he laid it all out. I thought it was really nice. And
I'm pretty sure this is the only thing I've ever seen him in.
Which
Played,
character?
This guy, the
That guy.
racist.
yeah,
This guy.
that guy. Yeah, kind of a dandy.
The gunslinger.
Yeah, exactly.
The racist who gets a redemption arc for being
Yeah,
more
German.
racist.
yeah.
Don't touch my telescope.
I was kind of happy when he got killed.
Me too.
The one thing that we talked about offline, me and Tad, was the fine line this film is taking between Native American, that kind of culture, and whatever these guys are.
Troglodytes.
Troglodytes. Yeah, they can call them troglodytes,
I like that the other Indian
or
calls
just
them.
cannibals.
Yeah, they literally brought another native character in to be like, these guys aren't like us.
Yeah.
They're a different thing.
Yeah.
Even though they go with all of the tropes of the thing that everyone says about Native Americans. They're not us.
Uh-huh.
And they
Yeah,
call
they-
that character the professor, which is just chef's kiss stupid.
Yeah, well, that's the hanging a lantern on it. Basically, they had to really kind of differentiate it, and they did look and sound a little different from the Native American thing.
Well, they
especially with
sounded different because they have the weird bone thing.
that was
They're
weird.
bone,
That
blah,
was,
blah,
was,
blah.
was it a scientific explanation, or do you think there was a kind of
No, there's no explanation. As Craig Zahler specifically has said, he doesn't want an explanation for any of this. Like, it's the
So he-
whole thing is supposed to be mystic. It's
Oh,
mystic.
okay.
It's a horror. It's a horror film. It's as
It is a horror film.
Yeah.
supernatural
It's
as anything
trying to be a
else.
horror film.
Well, okay.
Well, I was horrified, so maybe it worked for me.
Okay.
Well, you're obviously.
Were you scared? Was it ever tense for you? Like,
Sure.
oh God, I never found a moment of this tense.
Yeah.
It was just like, yep, that's the thing that's happening.
I'm going to argue that middle part of the film drains a lot of the tension out of it.
Oh boy, it does.
Yeah, that's the thing. The middle part is
How much of that do you think might be due to the complete, which I'm surprised you haven't brought this up, complete lack of diegetic music?
I didn't mind that. I thought it kind of gave a nice feel to
I
it.
thought it worked.
Yeah.
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 They didn't even let us
there's
listen
no-
to the
It's
no
piano.
music.
strange you bring up Ozu about
Yeah.
because this is like an Ozu horror film, right? No,
Poor-
Uh,
poor
no.
I was kidding. I'm
Yasujiro.
so sorry. I'll write this down. Okay, I'm sorry. But
Well,
I had somebody-
I liked it.
Thank you,
I liked
John.
it too, John.
What's that?
I liked it too.
Yeah. I
But
didn't.
I'm partial to westerns, especially these kind of postmodern
And
westerns.
boy, Kurt Russell's got the face made for westerns, doesn't he?
Oh God, yes.
absolutely.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's in a number of way better ones.
guy.
Yeah.
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 Every goddamn scene. This
He's-
fucking guy.
He's
He's
great.
all right. He's all right.
I thought everybody did. I thought everybody gave a good performance.
I thought
Wilson,
they
what's
did
he done? What else is he in? I didn't know. I don't know
Like,
him.
he's a ton of stuff.
Richard Jenkins is in a lot of
Richard
movies.
Jenkins. No,
Oh, I know Richard Jenkins is in tons of stuff. The other guy, Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Oh, he was in
I mean,
Fargo.
the Conjuring movies.
He was in Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
Watchmen.
White Owl.
I saw it once years ago. I
He has
forget.
a kind of he's kind of a 42 regular kind of guy. He kind of-
Sure.
Directed the last.
I thought he acquitted himself well in this. Everybody had mouthfuls of sort of mannered dialogue to get around, and they all did good.
Yeah.
Boy.
I did
Boy,
like
do
that
they.
there were no fucks in it.
Yeah, no fucks were given.
There was a fucking scene.
You know, I didn't.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guy's wife is the town doctor, right? And
Yeah.
that's the big.
Well, the town doctor.
I didn't quite. I made it sound like a pig, but I didn't quite buy it. It didn't sound authentic for the era, and she didn't. Her bone structure is not very. She doesn't. She like she wandered into the wrong movie, basically.
I kind of felt that she was a little too pretty for everything else that was going on.
Yeah,
Her hair was wrong too.
Her hair was wrong. She just looked too contemporary.
yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't quite fit in this thing. That's the thing.
But you know
Guess
what's
they couldn't
nice?
afford to pay her to.
Because I knew where the thing was going. That sort of long opening period where we get to see their relationship and what goes on in the town and stuff. It's like I know they're sort of setting the table for what's to come, but I was almost like, oh, this is nice. I hope they never go back out into the valley.
But
Yeah, don't go back there. That's a bad idea. Like,
it would be a
they-
good double bill with Valley of the Guanji.
Yeah.
in very horror movie, I'll give it this. In horror movie
Logic.
trope, I am very much like, don't do that. Like, you should not.
You should not go.
Not do
Well,
that.
Don't go in there.
There's a couple of those
Climb in the hole.
Yeah,
Professor
don't.
says, you're going there. Well, yeah, okay, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
No, one of the things, it's weird. I know I complained about the middle of the film being overly long, but one of the things I liked about this is that, Patrick Wilson's got a bad leg, and this was like a major. It's almost like a character in the film.
Yeah.
It informs everything that's happening.
And it's what saves him, right?
They have to
And it's what saves everybody who doesn't die.
Yeah, exactly. But they have to deal with him. He falls behind. They have to do the thing. They're going to take about.
They made a lot out of that.
Yeah, they
That
made a
was
lot out of it. And
That was a major part of the middle of the film, was him getting left behind and catching up and leave some stones for me. I kind of enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the misery that they wrung out of it.
Oh, but that's okay. Maybe you actually hit the nail on the head. It was miserable. You don't see movies about someone just dealing with a miserable, painful.
It kind of reminded me. What's that Jack London story where the guy breaks his ankle? He's up in like the tundra in Alaska, and
How
everybody.
to start a fire.
No, that's the one where he's in the snow.
Oh,
This one, he's just got to hike across the tundra with a broken ankle, and everybody leaves him behind.
128 hours.
It
Okay, there's a couple of these.
doesn't matter. It's the same kind of a.
I can't remember the number.
And
yeah.
that's a better horror movie.
It's a survival story.
Yeah, exactly. But he got out of it. His wing was fine. His leg was.
This is a movie that like people are like, what did you seen lately? It's like, oh fuck, and you tell them about this movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, it reminded
That's
me.
not
of
a
points
positive.
of,
Wait, Jim.
what is the movie Cowboys and Martians?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Aliens, yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Kind of like you know what, Jim? You're kind of right.
I'd rather
It has
watch
that kind of
Cowboys
feel
and
to it.
Aliens. It's
Yeah.
a bad movie.
Yeah, they were like aliens.
If you want to make a movie about cowboys, but you don't have like a city for them to be out of the water in, you can throw some aliens in.
Well, it was based on comic books, so I guess it makes sense on the page, but
Oh, I thought it was based on a video game.
it's possible.
Cowboys and Aliens is based on a comic, unfortunately.
Yeah. But all right, well,
I mean, it is a horror movie to the extent it's like some of the things that are in it are horrific, but they don't make a lot of sense if you think about them for 5 minutes. So better not to think about them.
I want to know how the fuck they got down the face of that cliff.
that looked pretty steep, didn't it?
Magic.
Well, they dragged him up with ropes.
No,
I also
I know
want to know
that the cave set's
the
cave set's a set, but I don't think it was at the ranch. I think it was somewhere else.
No, it's on the lot.
On the lot?
It's literally the same set that they used in Iron
Well,
Man.
that's probably why it's there, because you can't burn down a cave.
Right,
But,
exactly.
But I'm thinking that the outside shots are probably a mat. It's like they just put a thing there, and that's why
Matted in the view out the cave.
That's why.
They
I'm
absolutely
thinking diegetically.
it's obvious if you.
The non-music thing didn't bother me. I didn't even notice it. It's like what could you have done?
Well, it's better than bad music.
There is a dreadful song at the end during the credits rolled.
Both times I turned it off as soon as the credits started, so I have no idea.
given that the guy that made this movie used to be a death metal drummer, I was almost surprised.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, the dragged across concrete guy does not have a subtle bone in his body.
Not really, no.
Before we can get to Jared in a second, but I just want to defend this movie for a second. So
Why?
Because
it's your pick.
Because I've seen a lot of I love classy grindhouse, and I don't think this is a horror movie as much as it is a Roger Corman movie targeted up for the 21st century. I find the dialogue intoxicating. I find Richard Jenkins' performance and the attention to these weird characters and their relationships. The movie seems way more interested to me in how they talk to each other than anything else. I found that really, I like this more the third or fourth time I've seen it than the first three times. I think that it kind of goes in much the same way that Tarantino movies eventually take a left turn into hyper violence. This movie in the last act goes there, but I wasn't scared, but I was as horrified as like watching a Roger Corman grindhouse flick in the 70s. I think that there's something about this guy's. There's something, and all of his movies are sort of like this. They're classy grindhouse. They come through the door of a standard grindhouse trope. It's like the The Brawl in Cell Block 99, Vince Vaughn's got to break into prison so we can get the guy in the next cell. Like they all come through the door of the
God, why
cell.
couldn't we have watched that instead?
Well, because it wasn't 99 cents. Otherwise,
I like the sale. That was
don't
fun.
tempt me. 6 weeks from now, I might pick it just to annoy you guys. But like he gets these actors, and he gets a lot out of them. I mean,
I was wondering how the hell he got such a great cast. I mean, these guys are all just they're all.
Kurt Russell loves his novels.
Okay. Oh, really?
Kurt Russell has a fucking has a blurb on the back of his second novel, which is another Western. It's that and again, Russell was going to do it.
Fucking thing is great. Western. Sid Haig, like I loved every second.
Doing Slim Pickens.
I thought that
Sid Haig is in the movie for 45 seconds and then gets a full paycheck and gets to go home.
You know what? Makes a hell of an impact in that 2.5, 3 minutes. And there's a lot of
date player crack pipe sucking in this film. That's one of them. You know, he also
the first time I was very aware that we're basically looking at the hills above Van Nuys. This time it didn't bother me as much.
Well, no, it's
Perk's
because I was too focused on
right on the
Rancho
other side. Literally.
That's the other side of
the reason they don't have music is because it would be the Star Trek fight music and everyone would be really confused.
Did anybody notice the discontinuity of the opening scenes with David Arquette? In some shots, his teeth were all
fuck up his teeth.
Yeah. I read about that.
And green in some shots and perfectly white in others.
Also, those
are called
on IMDb on this film and the other one we're gonna watch, or it's very thin. There's like 5 little minor things on here. That's it. Just goofs.
Oh,
yeah. It's really.
No, there's a ton of stuff on this.
But you know, it's.
Apparently, this guy is. I can't point. Yeah, this guy is.
The bartender.
Been a lot.
This guy's been in all 3 of the Zahler movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, Zahler fancies him quite a bit.
I think they're
probably
friends.
is Zeta.
Yeah.
Well, I got tired looking at that bar set after a while, though. The creaky floors and like that. It's like, okay, go outside, man. All right.
Well, then you go outside and it's like endless sandy hiking trails.
Slightly overexposed. Yeah, exactly.
And then there's the incredibly strange murder of the stable boy, which is shot weirdly and doesn't play very well. And you're shooting this from this angle entirely so you can demonstrate that you paid for this fake head so you can pop the thing out the back of it.
I also, again, no one's mentioned there's very few close-ups in this movie. It's almost all the medium to the camera's backed way up.
Well, it's scope, so they always have 2 or 3 2s and 3s and 4s, and almost.
And maybe he's trying to make it look more expensive by doing that.
Yeah, he's actually trying to open it up and make it look like kind of like an epic.
I like classy grindhouse movies. I think this is a good classy grindhouse movie, and I don't think it tries to be anything more than that.
Well, God, I don't know if it's too soon to go to the cards on this thing.
Well,
Jared, haven't done
Jared,
Jared, get in here, Jared.
I know he likes it.
Oh, he loves it.
He picked it.
He had a hard on through most of it.
Oh,
still does.
Do I cut this out or keep it in? I'm not sure exactly.
Keep it in.
All right. John's like, yeah, fuck it.
Actually, one of the reasons I picked it was because Jared and I talked about it at the birthday party.
All right, I like your background. I like where this is going.
All right.
Bone Tomahawk. Bone Tomahawk. It's not easy to breathe new life into genres that have been explored since the beginning of film, or ones that have that have had a moment that's come and gone. But that's exactly what it's exactly what the extremely talented S. Craig Zahler does. With Brawl in Cell Block 99, he revisits the exploitation film. With Dragged Across Concrete, the buddy cop movie. With Bone Tomahawk, the Western. At first glance, you might think Bone Tomahawk looks like a cheap rehash of other Westerns by even having Russell don the cowboy hat and the super stash. With beard, though, similar to Tombstone. But you would be wrong. This is a Western like you've never seen it, with dialogue that feels at once more real than most Westerns and like Quentin Tarantino might have penned it. A lot of writers try to imitate Tarantino's style of witty dialogue and fail, but not Zahler. This vernacular is all his own and works wonderfully. you're going to yield that bottle. It's simply brilliant writing. The cast is incredible across the board. Russell is typically good. Patrick Wilson is a great actor who is overall underrated. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins shines and steals many a scene and is the standout for me. He is cool, calm, collected, smart, fast drawing. Oh, sorry. The standout for me is the cool, calm, collected, smart, and fast drawing Matthew Fox. Who knew he could act? He's a long way from Party of Five here. Now to address the elephant in the room and what viewers of this film will be forever haunted by: the gore. The brutality of this film is intense and not for the weak of heart or stomach. But for me, it's another brilliant aspect of the film that raises it to another level and separates it from other Westerns. It's what brings the film slightly into the horror genre. I mean, if you split a human in half, that's probably the way to do it, but that image has scarred me. And there are... And those kinds of films I like. Dark, twisted, blindly pushing, fucked up, and done well. This film has been on my short list for a while. 2 big thumbs up. Great pick, Chris.
Wow.
Jared is right.
You gotta change your background again. Oh, okay. All right. Well,
That's like a 50-50 now.
I made this before he sent me his thing.
Oh, you were ready. You were ready, weren't you?
Well, you kind of knew, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Well, he owns the dang thing. Of course he likes it.
All right. Well,
he was literally clapping his hands together like a fat boy in front of chocolate when.
No, do you have a corner, Jim? Or are you good?
What can I say? If you want to see a good Western, see John Ford's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
No, it's a great film.
Isn't this basically a splatter version of The Searchers, sort of?
Kind of.
Oh, well, yeah, kind of, yeah.
It's a road movie without.
Although
I said
that too.
Jared waxed about the dialogue of how wonderful it was. It was like it's kind of like his version of using the N-word except using the S-word in this thing. So it's like it was, and it wasn't charming at all. Although Richard Jenkins, I thought, had the most charm of anybody in this entire film. He's the guy who really carried the thing. The guy who cared about it.
Although, I actually was not disturbed, but I found it distasteful, the Christian iconography at the end. It's like, what is this?
That was a bit much, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was like, okay.
Wait, what are you talking? Remind me what you're talking about, because I must have glazed over.
He starts crossing himself when they leave him behind for the last time, and then he's praying to Jesus to,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean.
And he does it right before he starts.
Well, his character is religious, so it kind of makes
sense. It's sort of to address, the issues Ted has with the racist stuff and what you just described. I mean, if you're going to make a movie talking about characters from the 1800s,
it's supposed to be like 1990s.
You have to assume that there was a lot of racist assholes as well as people who thought
that's not my problem.
Sky Daddy was going to save them.
Right. But there's ways to present that without Come and See is not a pro-Nazi film.
My problem isn't that the characters
of the Russians, Jim.
My problem isn't that the characters are racist. I do dislike the fact that the most racist character gets a redemption arc by being the savior who gets to sit there and shoot the onrushing hordes. So he gets to add to his body count before he dies. That's kind of gross, but whatever. I could live with that. I can live with a lot of things that are kind of racist because that's just how society's been forever. Right. My problem is that this is a movie that was made not very long ago and uses really gross tropes about Native people and then just goes, well, they're not actually Native Americans. They're whatever this thing
they're troglodyte
is.
Monster guys.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, the capturing a woman and everyone assuming that they're going to sexually assault her to breed, which is why they all go out there to begin with, is just a trope othering Native people. It's a trope that others other people of color too. this movie is inescapable from that understanding of race. Like this movie is both racist and bad. Like if you take the racism out, it's not a good movie. Like it, and if you take the bad out, it's still racist. Like that's the problem. It's too. I can deal with one of those things or the other of those things, but I can't deal with both of them at the same time.
Okay, that is a fair explanation why I don't like the film.
Fair enough.
Okay, we should need to go to cards at this point, I think, because we're kind of we actually.
I love it.
There are things about this I like and things I don't like, and so it's right. I'm right in the middle on this thing. Yeah, so it's a tough one.